I think Paul Homchick was first. Good afternoon, Paul. Ted Ryman down in Cape Town, Stingray up in Seattle, Robbie Buckmore, Stevens up in Canada, and many others. Denise Peterson in their new home in Vienna, Virginia. I'm here in Studio B alone today. Julia is getting an early start to her weekend, a nice summer weekend here in the Bay Area. So we wish her well. She sends her love and kisses. And Bob, she's watching, no doubt. Bob Goff down in Texas. Hello, Robert. Long time. Pedro Foiling Sailor is up early in bloody Sydney where they're locked down. Manolo Duran. Hello, Manolo. Many others as we get this show on the bloody road. Welcome.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to TFE Live, number 438 for today, Friday the 16th of July, 2021. I hope you're all having a great summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. Hamish Ross says it's a dark and stormy day down under in Auckland, where, of course, it's the middle of their winter. As you would expect, it might be a little dark and stormy. Morris Stevens is up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Welcome to you. Again, Maura's become a regular. Nice to have you on, as well as Krasimir Naumov. Hashtag, where is Julia? Julia is taking the day off. She's the boss, so she can give herself a day off if she wants. She's no doubt watching the show. Will probably come in with some pithy comments. telling me when I'm making a mistake, like Gordon Smith never does. He's too polite. Having a balmy evening in Denmark, he says. We mentioned Stingray up in Seattle, Patrick Dyer, James Dickens, Jim Meyer from rainy Michigan. Jim is a laser sailor. Oh, look at all those nice thumbs up and hearts so on. Thank you very much. My home club in Michigan, Portage Yacht Club. Jim Meyer, welcome. Who else is here? As we mentioned, Manolo, Greg Newman, Father Newman, Mark Husted, Steamy Hot in Göteborg. That's Gothenburg in Sweden. Mary Jude Szymanski in Philadelphia. Jay Rendell is watching White Bear Lake up in Minnesota. Baton Rouge, normally on the East Coast. James Dickens, Baton Rouge, Charleston, right? James Dickens, Sail GP tomorrow in Plymouth. Yes. Looks to be a bit quiet, he says. Love to flooded north. Yeah, a lot of deaths in Northern Europe. Sorry to read about all of that. I hope all of you in Northern Europe are staying safe. Matthias Collins down in South America, in Argentina. Winter holidays here now. Kids and bored wife at home. Better before. Cam Taylor, hi Cam. Chili and sauce leader across the bay. David James. Yeah, I didn't look. That's pretty nice here in the marina. It's sunny here in the marina. David James, so I'm sorry it's not so. But where's the scarf? There's a better hashtag from Stingray, but where's the scarf? Meaning Julia's ever-present scarf. She's so always beautifully dressed. Peter Selwyn down in very chilly. He's chiming in with Auckland news from Hamish Ross. Can't get proper sleep. Krasimir Naumov in Bulgaria is saying waiting for Sail GP. Ralph Roberts down in New Zealand. Welcome, Ralph. He's become a regular, too. Mike Gazzardo in Discovery Bay. Wow. Max Mueller, Stingray, Morris Stevens. We mentioned David James. It's sunny, but only 59 degrees. Well, that's typical here in San Francisco, is 59 degrees. 60 degrees is kind of maybe 64, the daytime high. And, of course, the poor bloody tourists here, they come and they see a sunny day and they think, oh, it's going to be nice, and they go out without a jacket or a sweater or both. And then the sea breeze comes in and it gets cold. And that's the case. That's our weather. We have this natural air conditioning here. So while much of the rest of the West is sweltering here in the U.S., not here in the naturally air-conditioned Bay Area, I call on all parties to observe the Olympic Truce. This is today's theme of show number 438, and welcome again to all of you. Yeah, Baton Rouge confirming he is in Charleston, and Ted Ryman down in Cape Town. Well, you've had some rough couple of days, maybe a week down there. Stay safe, Ted. I know it's not so much in Cape Town as it is in Joburg and where else? Durban, I guess, where you've had some unrest, civil unrest there, so do stay safe. Thumbs up from everybody. Thanks very much indeed. Alan Long has joined as well. I hope all of you who celebrated this week Bastille Day, which was, a couple days ago. Was that Wednesday? Yeah, it was Wednesday. Today's the 16th. So we didn't cover that on Tuesday, but we hope any of you who do celebrate that had a wonderful Bastille Day, if you're French or French fans, is that the right word, of France. And apropos that, we have a Bravo Zulu, because a couple of sailors were named in the French honors. Here's a little preview, or actually a reminder of what happened in January at the end of the Vendée Globe. Remember this? And this wasn't the winner, but he was the hero. Coming into the Sable d'Olonne early evening after dark on the 28th, I believe it was, of January.
Voilà, je vois que les gens ont bravé la nuit
Jean Lecan
pour nous accueillir. Et, ça fait chaud au cœur. La dureté de ce Vendée Globe, pour moi, elle était incroyable. Exceptionnellement difficile. Juste...
Krasimir saying Jean is the best. Yep.
Hier, j'étais content d'être 8e. Et puis là, depuis ce matin, je finis 4 la place du con. Mais bon.
So yeah, that was January 28th, and on the 14th, on Bastille Day, he was made a member of the French Legion of Honor. And this is some quotes. I went to the end of the end, added Lecomte, whose time was readjusted to 80 days, 13 hours, 44 minutes, and 55 seconds. This is after he just finished in January. This is a finish line like I've never passed in my life. This is a deliverance, certainly. And of course, the race winner, Yannick Bestaven, aboard Mccarthy 4, and who had also aided the rescue attempt of Escoffier. Of course, Lecomte had rescued Escoffier, won the race in the early hours of Thursday. Lecomte stole headlines when he halted his race to help Escoffier, whose boat sank after splitting in two on the 30th of November. Escoffier spent 11 hours. You all remember this. We covered this extensively. 11 hours clinging to his lifeboat before Lecomte spotted him and hauled him aboard in the middle of the night. You know, he said, Escoffier said, well, let's wait till daybreak. And he said, no, I see you now. I'm going to get you now and not wait till daybreak. The pair spent a week together on Yes We Can. It's the name of Jean Lecomte's boat before Escoffier was taken to safety by a French Navy frigate, allowing Lecomte to rejoin the race. Well, the news of a couple days ago was that Bestaven, having won the race, and Jean Lecomte was knighted. I think Chevalier, there's 4 or 5 levels, I believe, and they both were knighted and became members of the French Legion of Honor. Bravo, Zulu to them both. Great to see our sport getting that kind of recognition. You know, you get some knights in the UK and in New Zealand and Australia every now and then. But nice stuff. Bravo, Zulu. Bravo, Zulu. What a great Olympic class. And yet another great big young sailor, terrific sailor, who has just won the Finn Silver Cup. This is Dom Nemeth from Hungary, and he's won his first Finn Silver Cup for Hungary. There they are on the podium. In fact, it was an all-Hungarian podium. Dom Nemeth of Hungary has won the under-23, that's what the Silver Cup is, the U23 Finn World Championship for the George Bruder. Bruder, of course, the famous Brazilian Finn sailor from back in my era. George Bruder Finn Silver Cup on Lake Balaton, so they were in their home waters in that beautiful lake up in north central Hungary. Nemeth from the host club, I won't try to pronounce, THE, become the first Hungarian to lift the title. And in a reversal of fortunes behind him, Bence Ras and overcame his older brother Levente to take the silver medal and secure a full Hungarian podium. Now, I don't know for sure if Dom is the son of an old judging friend of mine, the late great Miklos Nemeth. I assume they're related because they were both great sailors. And bravo Zulu, regardless, to Dom. It's Nemethov, so it might not be a relation. But regardless, bravo Zulu to all those great Finn sailors. And I'm sorry to say, I hope you're having a drinking contest, especially for you down there under and Saturday morning. Have another, toss one back in honor of the Finn class, because look, I mean, just go back. Let me go back to that photo. Look at this. That's athleticism. It's tactical. It's brute strength. It's smarts. It's testing your smarts after you're exhausted. What a class. That is what Olympic sailing should be all about, and is, at least as long as the Finn is in the games. Nemeth is the name. Okay, thanks, Matthias. And I assume this is Miklos Nemeth's kid, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. I should have checked in with Robert Deves. And if Matthias, if you know, Matthias Collins, who's a soling sailor. In fact, I think Miklos was a soling sailor as well. But bravo Zulu again to Damankos or Damankos, Dom as they call him, Nemeth, who has won. Finn is top in our out of Olympus, as Krasmir, it will remain top same way as the Star is, yeah, and the FD and the Dragon and the and. Did you say Gosling's Jody, I hope they're having a rum. James Dickens is watching. The family name comes first. Yeah, okay, great. I would have Julia say this if she were here, but she's, as I said, taking an early start to her weekend, Friday here in the States, and she would say, please like, follow, and share. And then I always say comments are welcome, whether you're watching this live or in replay, and we're getting hundreds of cool comments, and we do go back and read them. We appreciate them very much, as do we, those of you who have become patrons via Patreon, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. This is viewer-supported media. And again, welcome to our show number 438. Not long before we're to our show number 450. We never thought we'd get to 100, let alone to 450 or 500. Well, when you do 2 a week, 50 weeks a year plus, that's 100 a year. So we're in our, soon to be in our 5th year. Okay. As several of you have mentioned, this weekend, tomorrow, they're already practicing, but the racing is tomorrow and Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, in Plymouth, in the UK. SailGP Racing comes back to the UK, to Plymouth this weekend. And there is the race course. We've shown this slide before, I think. And it's a natural amphitheater. Those of you who know Plymouth and Plymouth Harbor, and up there on the Hoe, the big hill, up there at the top of the slide. If I go to the Fortog, and you can see up here, they've got the Hoe Park and waterfront access and premium and the Adrenaline Lounge, but spectators can watch it up here as well as in this bring your own boat access area inside the breakwater. And it is, we had a, what was it? We had a Stingray, I think Stingray was there, AC-45 lead-up event to 2013 in Plymouth, and it was one of the best such events, one of the best acts, Octos as they used to call it, leading up to 2007. Terrific event, and they are back there this weekend, I mean, in Plymouth, with the, well, again, with the F50s, as they're now called, and the schedule of racing is Saturday, Fleet Race 1, 2, and 3, starting at 1400 and change, 1414 local. And then again, on Sunday, there's Fleet Racing at 1414, 1509. And then the top 3 teams coming out of Fleet Racing will go into that winner take all. You can't really call it a match race anymore. You can't really call it an Elfstrom triple race, but it's a 3-boat winner take all. What, let's call it something. Triple race instead of a match race. I guess we call it a triple race. Now, Phil Walker, who is one of our Fosie, and this is from my Facebook Messenger. Just before, and Phil's on, he said just 7 minutes before I went to air, he said, here, have a look at this. Not the picture, but he said, can't get it. He's on Corsican internet. So I assume he's in Corsica, but he said that on his app, there was an announcement, follow SailGP live on the app plus 30 minutes. Like, it's not going to run live on the app until 30 minutes later than live. So I don't know what that means, but it sounds like, and I think Phil thinks when he read it, he's trying to get a screen grab of it, but it sounds like the racing is being televised on Sky TV in the UK and perhaps elsewhere, but I know on Sky. And then it will be on the normal YouTube channel, the SailGP YouTube channel, and on Facebook, their Facebook channel as well. I believe they're co-streaming it. And apparently there's a 30-minute, did I say 30 seconds? A 30-minute delay. Phil Walker saying, WTF, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Now, also SailGP related is our Jody Shields segment, Correct or Croutonic. And here is, sorry, I didn't mean to cut that quite so short, but I want to look at this video because SailGP have launched now a second competition, championship, not only the racing on the water, but then they've also, well, here, have a look at this video, and then we're going to discuss whether this is correct or croutonic. Have a look.
Competition, it's in our nature. It drives technology, performance, progress. Moving faster, pushing harder. Our sport is powered by nature, and we're entering a new race. Welcome to the SailGP Impact League. In the race for a better world, every positive action is a step closer to a cleaner future. Competing to reduce waste, increase efficiency, and shine a light on climate change. Our teams will earn points throughout the season across every aspect of their operations. We're here to make an impact. Race for the future.
So there it is. I guess what they're calling it is the Impact League, and they're being awarded points based on how green they are. This sounds like not the Green New Deal, but the Green New Sailing Deal, maybe. SailGP, what do you think? Is this a good idea to be scoring the teams not only on the competition on the water, but also by how green they are and how good they are at helping to preserve and the economy, not the political economy, not the economy, but the environment. Potentially correct a very interesting concept Gordon Smith is saying. Hamish Ross says, yeah, build a wooden boat and cotton sails, all renewable. I mean, that's one of my reactions too, is that here are all carbon boats. They're not recycled. They're flying all over the world. They're shipping these things all over the world. It's not exactly a renewable race, but Jeff Ogle saying it's not correct or crouton. It's typical these days. That's probably a fair comment. Marcos Weinstein, strong female voiceover, interesting choice, powerful. Yeah, I like the video actually, and I didn't debate in my own mind whether or not to run it. I think it's good. Mark Husted, it's correct, setting example for what they stand for. Yeah, I'm not sure that's really what they stand for, but I think everybody's glomming on to this sort of thing. Larry's idea, well, I don't know if it's Larry's idea. Krasmir is saying, correct, every action improving the environment is a fantastic idea. So most of you think this is a good idea. Some of you have mixed. David James wondering if the ribs following the fleet at 40 knots are carbon neutral. Who else has got a comment here? I guess that's pretty well it. But that's SailGP this weekend. James Dickens, we need to hold hands and whistle up some wind. Greenwash so far as nature is concerned. Yeah, it's going to be a little light, apparently, in Plymouth this weekend. Stingray, they're going to be using electric self-navigating markers as one good example of their efforts. Yeah, I think that's MarkSetBot. And we'll probably do a feature on that. I think it's a company out of Detroit, too, out of Michigan, my home state. Silly idea. It would be like peeing in the ocean. No effect at all. Always pithy. Ted Ryman down in Cape Town. Marcus Feinstein, we need hydrogen-powered turbine ribs. Well, you saw that hydrogen-powered rib that they're doing with ETNZ, and you see Ineos getting into that hydrogen power. And, I don't doubt that we're going to see trucks, big long-haul trucks, 18-wheelers and so on, using hydrogen power. The problem is the distro is getting the hydrogen gas station, so to speak, and there's hard enough getting electric filling stations. Electrical ribs next, Krasimir is saying. Tom, that's Julia's. Yeah, Gordon, very observant. I switched today because I've got the Pindar mug. Julia, actually, we do switch every now and then. And over at Julia's table, you can see the mug there behind the iPad is we switch. I use it sometimes, she uses it, but I thought today I'd use the Pindar mug because I'm so proud of what they did. And he didn't know I was going to mention that on Tuesday's show, that I had heard, one had heard that his company had convinced shipping companies to stop ships or to take containers off ships that were going through ports that weren't scheduled to offload containers, and then get those containers onto other local ships going into Japan, so that some of these sailing teams whose yachts were stuck in those containers could have them. And one hears that all such containers have made it to Enoshima. So bravo Zulu to Pindar, and who's of course a Fosie and on here regularly, was a couple weeks ago reporting in from Italy's Foiling Week, Kelly Targnazzi and co. Stop the show, I'm in the pub. Hope to join you soon, peeps. So there's Pindar. Thank you, Andrew, and congratulations again to what you're doing. Baton Rouge saying this is a correct concept, this LGP Enviro concept. One good idea leads to another. Their youth outreach is the idea that leads to other good ideas. And if some are environmental, that's okay. Yeah, I agree. That's why I played this. And Julius is watching. Hello, Julia. Says it's okay. Ben Nichols, I'd rather breathe the air in Plymouth, LGP, than in Silverstone, where the F1 Grand Prix is this weekend. But, you know, I don't know how many F1s I've been to when I was back in the day doing F1 and going to Silverstone, and we'd fly in there in a helicopter and land in the mud, and then you had to have wellies. You had to have your big Wellington boots. Those sailors, you'll know that. And trod through the mud, and you got VIP guests, and you got fancily dressed women in their fancy, you know, trying to get them to the cars and then get the cars over to the paddock and to the paddock club. And so, what a mess. At Silverstone. It's probably all fixed up since then. It's interesting on the green front that today is the day, on 45. I didn't use that, Hamish, but Hamish is reminding us that today is the day in 1945 that the first A-bomb test was exploded by the U.S. in New Mexico, our state down by Arizona and so on. The advantage of hydrogen trucks is the infrastructure is much easier than hydrogen cars. Yes, David, you only need 1/100th of the filling stations because the trucks can absorb the lower energy density per volume of hydrogen. Yes, and of course, David, who's a very bright guy and a longtime friend of not only mine, but of Julius as well, and went to Stanford and a lawyer, and he's that's why I mentioned trucks. You know, it's a lot easier to fill those trucks up with hydrogen fuel and not have to stop every couple hours and refill. Marcos Feinstein down in SoCal saying green energy guru Harry Graves, who also campaigns the Lionheart K18, the 12-meter, has the infrastructure ready for distribution. That's an interesting. I didn't know that, Marcos. Thank you, Marcos, who's been campaigning 12s on the on that circuit. They had that the race by the Statue of Liberty 4th of July weekend, wasn't it, or just before? During the F1 at Silverstone is the busiest heliport in the world. I tried it. It's awesome. Gordon Smith said, yeah, that weekend is, and of course, most F1 Grands Prix becomes not only for private planes, but it's like the Super Bowl here, but for helicopters in and out. Man, oh man. SailGP will be adding 2 more teams soon, Stingray says. My guess is Team Italy and maybe a Team Germany. 10 will be the max they will allow. The franchises are expected to grow very valuable. Well, I hope so. Hope they have not only continuity, but sustainability. And Larry's putting the pressure on Russell and the teams to become self-funding. We'll see if that happens. Ted Ryman, now I become death, the destroyer of worlds. Yeah, Oppenheimer, who of course was one of the key guys developing that original A-bomb back in 45. Well, you never know how many lives that cost, a lot of lives, but how many it saved too if that war had kept going on and on. Hello, Per Christian. Kalman is watching, and let's move ahead for our show number 438. Julia upstairs watching, getting an early start to her weekend. Those of you who joined, wondering where Julia, my co-host, is. That is her empty chair today, and we miss her dearly. And she sends her love and greetings. Richard Dreverman, Mary Jude, we mentioned. Bill Parker joins from Cincinnati. Speaking of this day in history, let's get to it. Do you know what happened on this day in history? What we're celebrating, a lot of things. Actually, it was a pretty eventful day when you go through all the list of things back to the 600s, popes and wars and other things. But on this day in 1995, something that is an outgrowth, obviously, of the internet, but has impacted all of us hugely, at least I think most of us in the first world anyway, most of us who, especially with the lockdown. And what are we referring to? Ralph Roberts, Warren Schasser. Hello, Warren, down in Brisbane. What are we referring to? Here's your first and only clue. On this day in 1995, only 26 years ago, Amazon opened for business. And as I'm sure all of you know, it was a book company. Jeff Bezos, now the richest guy in the world, had the idea that he could sell books online rather than at brick and mortar stores on Fifth Avenue in New York and in malls across America and across the world. And he opened a bookstore online, and immediately it was a huge success. And if Julia were here, I was going to ask her, Julia, do you know what the name of the, I wasn't going to shake my finger at her, but do you know what the original name of Amazon was? I didn't know this until doing the research. Does any of you know the original name of Amazon? It was Cadabra, short for abracadabra, magic. Oh, look, we're online. We can do this. We can deliver them immediately and for less. And he very quickly went from paper books and to e-readers, to electronic books. Cadabra, until somebody, they were at a dinner party apparently, and somebody said, hey, Jeff, that cadabra sounds like a cadaver. You're going to be dead on arrival. You better change the name to Amazon, which he did. And on July 16, 1995, Amazon officially opened for business as an online bookseller. Within a month, the fledgling retailer had shipped books to all 50 states and 45 other countries. I mean, this is in the early days of the internet. Founder Jeff Bezos' motto was, quote, get big fast, and Seattle-based Amazon eventually morphed into an e-commerce colossus, selling everything groceries to furniture to live ladybugs. Really? Live ladybugs? I didn't know that. Sounds cryptonic. And helping to revolutionize the way people shop. Now, I will tell you that I have switched from going to the grocery in the last just few weeks, stopped from Julia or has been ordering from Safeway, and there's this is our big local statewide, in fact, beyond grocery chain, and they've had one or two different companies that they go into the local store and pick it, and they call you on the phone and say, well, they don't have this, but they have that. And my mother, I know, Janice Davis, who's normally on, has been doing the same, but there's, the substitutes, or they don't have it, and they can't find it in the aisle because the pickers aren't that, well, they're not, maybe not that good, although some of them are gotten pretty good. Amazon, on the other hand, not only did they buy this big Whole Foods network here in the States, which it's so expensive, they call it Whole Paycheck here in the States, but they now have a thing called Amazon Fresh, which I can order something right now, and then you get 2-hour windows the rest of today and tomorrow in which to select when the delivery, and it comes reliably within that 2 hours. And so far, the half dozen times I've used it, Amazon Fresh, you buy $100 worth of stuff, and it comes free shipping and nothing. You maybe give the guy or gal a tip, all online, it's all contactless. They drop it off on your front doorstep or wherever you tell them. The stuff is fresh, the stuff is good, and it's less expensive than the grocery store. So he may be revolutionizing the grocery business, at least here in the States. I'm sure all of you have some similar. Additionally, Amazon has acquired a number of companies, including Zappos and Whole Foods. As we mentioned, in 2015, Amazon surpassed Walmart as the world's most valuable retailer 2 decades after its founding. And with Bezos still at the helm, he's just stepped down. Amazon's market value was $250 billion. 2017's Bezos, he's named richest man in the world. Bezos stepped down as CEO of Amazon to focus on his aerospace company, Blue Origin. He seems to have been pipped in that business by Elon Musk and also by Mr. Virgin in the UK, who just went up and he took his first, right? Didn't he go up and do his thing maybe a week ago even? His space tourism business. But he is also a yachtsman. Did you know that he divorced his wife? They had an amicable split the money, 50-50 more or less, the $100+ billion, and he bought himself a proper yacht. He is now a proper yachtsman with his, I think it's 136-meter yacht called Flying Fox. It was built and designed in Norway a couple years ago, and by no less than Lursen Yachts, the super yacht. It's the 14th largest on Earth, 136 meters, designed by the award-winning designer Espen. How do you pronounce that last name? Oino. How do you pronounce that? Is that Dutch? What kind of a name is that? Some one of you will know. The Flying Fox features a stunningly eye-catching hull with contemporary and unique interiors to match. Yep. Yeah, this is Krasimir is saying this is not, I'm going to go back and show you that. This is not a yacht, it's a ship Wow. Well, okay. Julia, we could have started Amazon in 1995 instead of doing the Cup and doing silly sailboat racing and America's Cups and television shows online. And maybe we'd have a boat like that. I can't imagine the cost of the upkeep. On this day in 1439, yeah, I saw that. David James. David, I almost ran that. On this day in, what was it, 1439? Kissing is banned in England due to stop the spread of the Black Death. I almost ran that, but I didn't know what kind of, I wasn't clever enough to come up with a graphic and so on. Did he order that? Yeah, it's no sails, but I'll bet you there's sailboats on it. There's windsurfers or something. Maybe kite foilers. Who knows? Richard Branson. Yeah, that was Branson last week. I called him Mr. Virgin because I couldn't come up with a name. Without Julia sitting here, she would have said, "Oh, you mean Richard Branson?" She would have come up with that. Yeah, he took his. Did they? Was it a parabolic flight? Did they just go up and back? They didn't orbit anything. They just went up, and that plane went into. I guess it's arguable where space starts, but they went up, were weightless, and took a few photos, and then came back down in their space tourism business. What else? I don't think he ordered. That yacht is a money drain hole. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I am sure it is eco-friendly, Jim Meyer is saying. I wonder if you all these clever comments. Jody Shields, another fine example of an environmentally sustainable vessel. David James saying any yacht that is too big to be on the wall at Gustav is too big. Yeah, weightless for 4 minutes. Branson and Co. were. Hello again, Bob Goff. Okay, let's get to our Olympics because that's the big feature. That's what we're talking about here is the Olympics. And one of 3 videos we have featuring sailors, plus we have one of KR. Have a look.
Hello, I'm Kamanwan Chanyim, Thai radio sailor. When I was young, I didn't think much about sailing. I just wanted to sail for fun. But then one day, I saw other sailors. They were in the national team, and they got to wear the suit for the national team. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I want to wear one too. So it's how I started to think about getting in the national team. Back then, I was like 10 years old. And when I got to wear the suit, I got in the national team, I started I want to get more than that. I want to go abroad to travel, and then I dreamt about the Olympics. My biggest achievement in sailing so far, I would say, I got to be the first Thai woman who qualified to the Olympics in sailing. Yeah, so I think it's good for Thai sailing team because it's like we already have the path to the Olympics already, so we can develop more in the future. My past Olympic experience is from the Olympics in Rio 2016. It was my first Olympic. Just the moment I got there, the moment I got into the Olympic village, it amazed me a lot. It's like I got to see how the other athletes do in their routine life. Not only sailor, but other athletes from other sports as well. And the feeling when we compete in the Olympics is different from other events. Like it's not the same at all. The competitive level is so high. It's like everyone is going for it. It's like it's only chance in their life. Yeah, so it was amazing to me to see that. I really want to go to the Olympics and I really want to race, but before that I prepare myself as well because the situation it wasn't that good. I got 1 more year to prepare myself, put myself back together and do my routine life. Like I just aim for the medal race. I want to be in the medal race in the Olympics.
I think another one of these terrific videos that World Sailing have been putting together. And this today's show has a bit of an Asian focus because that was obviously a Thai competitor, Thai lady. And did I hear that right? That she wanted to get into sailing because she liked the wetsuit. She wanted to wear one of those wetsuits. She's got a rubber fetish. I don't know. A lot of people do. Not me, but Julia. I'll have to check with Julia and see if she. But cool. I mean, she wanted to travel. She wanted to meet other people, and she sailed in 2016. And her goal is to get into the medal race. And those of you who are skeptical about the Olympics and why we stay in the Olympics, it is sports like ours and in countries like Thailand and other smaller countries, less affluent countries even. Thailand's not exactly poor, but that get men and women out on the water and into the Olympics because of our sport. And that's why I think we need to stay in the Olympics and keep sailing strong in the Olympics. Okay, this is... I had to run with this. The UN Secretary General signals the start of the Olympic Truce during Tokyo 2020. This is from Philip Barker of Inside the Games. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has has welcomed the start of the Olympic Truce 1 week before the Tokyo 2020 opening ceremony here. In fact, I should ask Matthias, where is Antonio Guterres from? What country? I should have looked that up. The traditional gesture calls for the laying down of arms across the world and for fighting to stop during the period of the Games. And that, of course, is something that goes back to the ancient Olympic Games way back when. I'm not sure it really worked all that well in the modern Games. Quote, I call on the parties to observe the Olympic truce during Tokyo 2020 and the Paralympic Games, said Guterres in a video message. People and nations can build on this temporary respite to establish lasting ceasefires and find paths towards sustainable peace. I can only hope. One can only hope. In a few days, athletes from around the world will come together for the Olympic Games and Paralympic Games. They have had to overcome, this is a statement of the truth, had to overcome enormous obstacles to participate in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic. We need to show the same strength and solidarity in our efforts to bring peace to our world. The Olympic truce is a traditional call to silence the guns while the games proceed. And that is Phil Barker from he's a Brit reporting via InsideTheGames.biz. Okay, let me play another video, this one of a Singaporean sailor. I think you will really enjoy this. And again, bravo Zulu to World Sailing for putting these together. I wish our national governing body, U.S. Sailing, had done anything close to this on our various sailors competing and heading towards Enoshima for the Games. Have a look.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be at my first Games, and just looking forward to the start of it and just enjoy the feeling and the experience that comes along with it. Yeah, I got into sailing because of my siblings. My sister actually went to the Olympics in Beijing, so yeah, she was sort of my inspiration to start sailing and continue pursuing this Olympic journey. My brother was also sailing at the time, and yeah, both of my siblings were the ones who really got me going into the sport. Yeah, I'm currently training with Gianluca Ziaco from Slovenia, and we'll be training together in Croatia all the way up until the Games. I know him for many years already. We've done an Olympic circuit for quite a while, some time, and yeah, we were good friends, and yeah, really happy to have him as my training partner. It was a World Cup final in Marseille, and yeah, it was nice to be on the podium with Gian, and yeah, it's been a long time since then, and yeah, just happy to continue training with him and racing. And yeah, I think I would like to think that I work pretty hard, and yeah, I'm very focused on what I want to achieve, and yeah, just do whatever I can to keep on improving. Yeah, so that's what I think. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Paris after Tokyo, and yeah, hopefully I'll be able to be at a better position than I am right now, like better sailor, and yeah, we'll see where I go from here. And yeah, just looking really forward to Tokyo and then of course Paris. Yeah.
You know, you have to remember that Thailand has been strong in opties, and actually Singapore not bad in opties for quite some time. Some of you will know better than I, but Thailand, for example, just was the runner-up team at the Opti Worlds at Lake Garda last week, and Italy won. They're in home turf, but they also, Italy's been very strong, in Brazil and the U.S. and others, but Thailand and Singapore. And of course, Singapore has our longtime friend Eng Ser Myang, who was a vice president of world sailing, and he was a leader in our sport, a snipe sailor, and I'm not sure what else, 470 sailor maybe. And he's now the senior IOC vice president, could well become the next president, or certainly is a leading light and an influence in the IOC, and he, of course, from Singapore as well. Now, while we're on Asia, let's talk about China. The biggest ever team for overseas Olympics, second only to Beijing when they hosted, but the biggest team for overseas Olympics to represent China at Tokyo 2020, in an article by Michael Pavitt today from the main press center in Tokyo on InsideTheGames.biz. The Chinese Olympic Committee, I won't use the acronym, has confirmed it will send a record delegation of 777. You all know that 7 is an auspicious number in the Chinese culture, but interesting they got to that number. 777 of the Olympics here in Tokyo, their largest team at an overseas games. The delegation includes 431 athletes comprising of 298 women. Look at how many, twice the number of women as there are men. Nearly 300 women, 130 odd men. The figure is a rise from the previous games, as 396 Chinese athletes competed at London 2012, while 416 participated at Rio 2016. China's largest Olympic team was at Beijing 2008, where there were 639 athletes. Okay, home team. The Tokyo 2020 team will be supported by 307 coaches, team leaders, and medical personnel, with a further 39 staff members also set to travel. Now, the COC claim that 99, virtually all of their delegation, have been vaccinated. And then there were a couple of interesting quotes here. General Administration of Sports of China head Zhao Zhongwen reportedly told the delegation that the games would be a test as China seeks to build a, quote, sports power by 2035. Same gentleman expressed hope that the team would halt the recent decline in Chinese medal success at the games, as they, like the U.S. and some other big countries, in big picture at the games, many smaller countries are becoming quite competitive across the board at the games. So it's not just the big countries like China and the U.S. and Russia, of course, and some others. That's Michael Pavitt in InsideTheGames.biz. Now here's a third video. This is my favorite of these World Sailing videos this week, featuring a Canadian sailor, and not so much about sailing, but what it takes a windsurfer to get packed up, or the RSX sailor, board sailor, to get packed up to go to Tokyo. Roll tape. Is that cool or what? How she gets into the airport. Great stuff. I'd love to see more of those kinds of videos. Short, sharp, not TikTok-ish videos, but short, sharp, showing some part of the athlete experience. Now, speaking of which, World Sailing had previously told John Emmett and Luca Devoti and others that they could not send us any reports. They couldn't be seen to be doing that. Well, that's not quite true. I can interview them. They can't give media reports back to some media outlet. So John may not be able to do one of his stand-ups with a camera and with his microphone. This is John Emmett reporting from the Athletes Village, which is a hotel in Enoshima, where they're all staying. And I, by the way, I'm going to pull some notes out here at the end of this because I have talked to John and DeLuca and others that are in the hotel. And depending upon who you believe, some of it's 4 hours to get to the airport when they, it's saliva. They're not giving the test. They're being tested daily. They can't go anywhere except within the hotel, down to the dining room and the breakfast room. They can't go out, walk around in the garden. They can only stay in the hotel. Then they get on the bus, go to the venue. Then they can do their thing at the venue, go out sailing, come back to the venue on the bus, back to the hotel. Can't go out and about. Now, one of those gentlemen has a car and says he's able to get out and about. So we'll see what kind of reports he gives us. But I am going to be able to interview them. And of course, it's almost 2:00 here in San Francisco, 1400. So it's 0600. I probably won't be doing it live on the show, interviewing them, but if they get up early and are ready, willing, and able, maybe we'll get them on live. Otherwise, I'll record something the night before. Now, some of you will be asking, what about the U.S.? What's going on? The U.S. did a live stream. It was actually live to tape, hosted by Olympian Pam Healy, who's a St. Francis member, former board member, a great sailor, longtime friend here of Julia's and mine, and many others. She hosted it. It was as I say, live to tape, and they interviewed all the various, virtually. They had all the sailors on, and they talked about their Olympic past, present, and hopefully future. And as part of this, Paul Kayard, who is our new executive director of U.S. Olympic Sailing here in this country, came on and gave this update and report.
Good afternoon, sailors, and welcome to Long Beach for the U.S. Olympic Sailing Team athlete send-off. I guess there were some silver linings in COVID, and one of them is that virtual events are the latest and greatest thing. And, you didn't have to travel to Long Beach, but we definitely feel your presence. And we have the entire nation from the West Coast to the East Coast and everything in between represented here. And it's going to be a fantastic event. So thank you all for joining in. Our team this year going to Tokyo is 13 athletes representing 9 different states, so a great representation of the entire USA. And as we all know, the games are postponed by a year due to COVID, and COVID certainly presented a lot of challenges to all of us, but you can imagine what it would be like to be an athlete with your whole life focused on 2020 and then having to delay for a year. The evidence we have from the international competitions that resumed earlier this year is that our athletes actually got better during COVID. They trained harder. The results are better than they were in 2019. And with that, we're quietly optimistic about our possibilities in Tokyo. We won't be favorites in any class, but I think this game's more than any other will have the characteristic of surprises and change and maybe some volatility. With all the COVID rules and regulations. So I think it's a great place for underdogs to be. I think we have the right mindset. Our athletes are elite athletes. They're focused, they're determined, and they're prepared for any surprises that might come their way. So I just want to thank our partners, Kilroy Realty, our primary sponsor, as well as Helly Hansen, our apparel sponsor, West Marine, our technical suppliers, Nimbex and Siemens, and then our suppliers, Marlowe, Yeti, Garmin, Harken, Harkenderm, McLube, Oro Sports, and Oakley. And of course, our private donor group, all of you who are chipping in. And by the way, the support is growing rapidly this spring, and I'm honored by your support. All of us are. Thank you so much for what you're doing, but let's keep the ball rolling. We're looking at a very strong team for 2028. There's a lot of great talent here. As I said, I'm in Long Beach at one of our Olympic class development regattas. Super excited. Was out on the water yesterday with our kiteboard team and our IQ foil team. A huge pipeline of talent. So thank you for all your support. And thanks to St. Francis Sailing Foundation, New York Yacht Club, and Alamitos Bay Yacht Club, where I am standing right now, for hosting this event, this send-off.
Kayard is really good at that sort of thing. I mean, he's a good leader. I've done America's Cup campaigns with him, and he's a leader of men and women. And of all the presentations on that video that they put out a week ago, that was from Long Beach, as he mentioned, as Paul mentioned, down at, there's an Olympic Classes Regatta, development regatta co-hosted by Long Beach Yacht Club and Alamitos Bay Yacht Club, ABYC. But K-Art is very good. He will raise money. He will lead this team back into, I'm quite confident, into better times than we've had, because, of course, the U.S. hasn't medaled since Caleb Payne out of bronze in Rio in the Finn class. And that class, I won't say it. Yes, I will. That class is going away. And why the U.S. didn't support the re-inclusion or the keeping the Finn in the games is beyond me. But Paul will do a good job. Chiardini, as we call him, since he was with the Italians in the 92 Cup. A longtime friend and a leader, I having been to war with him, not against him, but with him in the Cup in 95 and 2000. He is a leader, men and women, and hopefully we have better times ahead in the U.S. Now, speaking of U.S., I got to cover, and I assume this is true for a lot of you around the world, because this is the live host broadcasting list of events that, in our case, NBC, and not just NBC, the main network here, the broadcast network, but also the cable networks and their new offering, which is a digital offering called, no surprise, Peacock. But here's the Olympic schedule 2021. I'm going to go through it with you. A full breakdown of every live event the NBC family of networks will be showing. And as I said, that's probably true in your country as well. Now, what they show in replay and what they show in yada, yada. But this is the stuff that this is the schedule that I'm told the host broadcast is producing for all of the rights holders around the world. So this won't be exactly the same in your countries, but it's going to be close. There will be plenty of other tape-delayed coverage throughout the event because of the 13-hour time zone difference between here and, when it's live and when it's taped is another. But it's the events that they're actually covering live or even live to tape on the various platforms here in the U.S. and I assume in your countries as well. Here they are, and actually it starts, the opening ceremonies is a week from today, next Friday night. But the softball and the soccer, the football, starts next Tuesday, the 20th, with softball games, which is just now a new sport. Well, it was in the games, back in the games now. So Japan and Australia, and of course, baseball, softball is a big sport in Japan like it is here in the States, and that's why it has been re-included. Or so one hears. Japan, Australia, U.S., and Italy. That's neither here nor there. It's that games are actually starting on Tuesday with the main, and there's some other stuff Wednesday, Thursday, leading up to the big opening ceremony on Friday. Rowing, cycling, tennis, women's water polo, the other live events. Now, I'll warn you, I've gone through not once, not twice, but 3 times, scanning through everything from this Friday to the closing ceremony on the 2 weeks hence. There is not one mention of sailing as a live event here in this country on NBC. Now, I heard from, who was it, Peter Stevenson? One of the Aussies sent me before Peter said Matt Belcher and Will Ryan. And let me see if I can pull this up. Peter Stevenson is saying that he thinks that Channel 7, which is the Olympics rights holder in Oz, in Australia, are going to cover a fair bit of sailing. And of course, part of it is because the U.S. sailing team is probably not going to medal, or if they do, it's because of, as Kayard said, it's a come from behind sort of thing, not really expected to medal. But in some of your countries, you may have some live coverage that we don't have here. One can only hope. So that's it on Friday the 23rd, the opening ceremony, a week from today. Of course, it's Saturday now in Japan. And it goes through until Sunday, August 8th, when the closing ceremony is here in the evening on NBC, with that final day, the live events said to be boxing, volleyball, water polo, and the closing ceremony. Okay. Now, we talked on Tuesday, what is this, Friday? On Tuesday's show about the medal events and what we might do with our watch parties. The medal races are on Saturday the 31st, which is Friday night the 30th here in San Francisco. It's early in the morning, middle of your night in Europe, on early Saturday morning. Also on Sunday and also on Monday, my problem is that I'm down covering Gov Cup with Andy Rose, Chris Bretschker, and so on through. I won't get back here until Sunday afternoon or evening, so I will be in no shape to do a live stream, a Zoom, even though we're going to do a Zoom watch party like we did during the America's Cup. And I won't be able to do that until our Monday, which is Tuesday in Tokyo, in Japan. So the Tuesday racing on Tokyo, which is our Monday night, we will do a watch party. And who is racing on Tuesday? It's great. It's the Finn and the NACRA 17. And if that goes well, and if you're all excited, and if the 470 stuff on the next day, the medal races on Wednesday the 4th in Tokyo are the 470s, then we might do that again that next night. And I'll see what Julia thinks and if we're up for that, because it's not hard for us to do it. It's just it's late in the evening, and we want to do our regular Tuesday and Friday shows that week as well. So the plan is as follows: a Zoom watch party Monday, the 2nd of August, San Francisco time, covering the Finn and the NACRA medal races. Now, as John Emmett and others have reminded us, those races could also move around depending upon the weather. When I talked to John, I haven't talked to him today, yesterday, they and Luca Devoti and 2 others, the weather had looked pretty benign, but now they're seeing a developing tropical storm or worse. I hope it's not a typhoon, but that could affect all of this schedule as well. So here's the official notice in sailing terms: the TFE live Zoom watch party for the Finn and NACRA medal races Tuesday, Tuesday, the 3rd of August, local time. It's at noon-ish. I think it's at noon, by all accounts, which is 0300 on Tuesday, the 3rd, UTC. So an hour later, it's 0400 in London, 0500 on the continent. So that is in San Francisco. We will go live at 8 p.m. Monday night, maybe a few minutes before. I've already set it up, I think, for 1945, 15 minutes before, like we did with the Cup. On Monday, the 2nd of August, hour 8 p.m. That's 2300 in New York. That is midnight in Rio and BA. That's 0400 in London, 05 on the 3rd, 0400 in London, 0500 in Paris and Cape Town. Ted Ryman, I checked your timings, and Matthias Collins, I checked your timings too. That's 1300 in Sydney, 1500 in Auckland on Tuesday the 3rd for our watch party. And write this down if you care. I'll promo it again, but here is the Zoom ID. It's the same one we've been using. 267-220-6570 is my personal ID, and the passcode is now TFE. 267-220-6570, passcode TFE, and we will do that for the Finn and NACRA medal races. And we'll go to comments now, but just one other photo, sort of a departing photo. Our Fosie, Leonard Takahashi, who's been on the show any number of times, who of course is a great Kiwi match racer and sailor, but he's representing Japan. He's originally from Japan and also he's living in New Zealand with his crew. Ibu, whose last name I can't pronounce, let alone remember, but Leo and Ibu, they're excuse me, I think Rob Fry sent us this photo, them training. I don't know if that's in New Zealand or if that is up in, they were in a training camp up in Australia, and I think they've gone straight from Australia to Tokyo because of the lockdowns now going on back and forth or continuing down under. And I talk about comments I've had also before the show. Let me back up and find this, because I'm sorry to hear this, but Daniel Gruen, of course, is in Europe, saying the state of Victoria, Melbourne, is now under lockdown, Australia. So not only is New South Wales under lockdown, but now Melbourne and the state of Victoria, Australia, now paying the price, this is Daniel Gruen's comment, not mine, for not getting their people vaccinated. In New South Wales, Sydney has now 916 active cases, which doesn't sound like much here compared to the U.S., but it's the highest in over a year in the state of in New South Wales, and infections are still on the rise there. So our thoughts with everybody. I know things have gotten bad again in the Netherlands and in other countries in Europe. And we just can only hope that all of you are safe and that the delegations in Tokyo and the people in Japan are safe and get through this in one piece and have as much as possible have a wonderful Olympic experience, as wonderful as possible. Okay, let's stop there. I go all the way back to Gordon Stanley, who's a new. Gordon, I haven't seen you on, or at least not in a long time. Welcome back. NASA used to say, we're talking about, again now about space tourism. NASA used to say space started at 100,000 feet and gave astronaut wings to X-15, the old test planes, X-15 pilots who attained that altitude, about 20 miles. Interesting. Moving forward here, Luca Craig, there's a new name. Welcome, Luca. I guess they're drinking. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to talk about rum racing. Great to see an Asian sailor breaking some barriers down. Bravo. Yeah, Gordon Smith. I agree, Gordon. That's why I like to play. Krasimir Naumov, the SR-71 Blackbird, that was the high-altitude supersonic reconnaissance plane the U.S. had, breaks the space barrier. The pilots were with spacesuits inside. Not sure why a technology nearly 60 years old could not do it. Why are they intenting now? Yeah, okay. Eugene Slabbert, another new name. Welcome, Eugene. That's 30,000. Yeah, we're all 30,000 feet short. Or Stevens, Baton Rouge. Try to Google, Gordon Smith is saying, James May in Space, a really interesting documentary. Thanks for that, Gordon. What an eclectic, bright group of people on here in the Sailing Illustrated University. Twice a week university, online course. Taught by the Fosie. Moderated by Julia and myself. Could be any Latin country, Spain or Mexico, maybe. Yeah, somebody Google, where is that guy from? Guterres. If I weren't so lazy, I'd do it myself. One of you will do it and give us the name. Tom mustn't like my package. I think you have a great package, Jody. Not that I've ever seen it. I've seen it. A relative of mine is a MiG-29 mechanic, Krasimir said. He shows me all kinds of interesting stuff and all sorts of tech supposedly suppressed, okay? War is business. Fiji men's and women's, okay, Oren Schasser in Brisbane, Australia, saying Fiji men's and women's ILCA sailors, meaning the laser 7s and 6s, for men and women respectively, have been training at the Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron for the last couple of months, the RQYS. They love it so much. Well, who wouldn't love it? It is Royal Queensland, right? Warren, I need to wear colorful prints for Tom to put it on his show. I wore this because it's summery, and Julie wasn't here, and I just thought we'd have a summery celebration where, and also in honor of the start this week. There's still a start today and start tomorrow of the Transpac race, and the Rain Spooner makes these Hawaiian type shirts. I thought we wear. What package did somebody say? Is it foul, Jody? I don't know what we've got here. If somebody's sending me a comment, or Jody has sent something here, I don't see it here in any of the what package. If so, pronunciation has to be so a little different. Richard Dreverman. Morris Stevens agreeing with Hamish Ross. There is nothing better than being at the helm of a classic wooden boat. My grandfather used to say that each season when a wooden boat takes her first sail and the wind first fills her jib, it is like she comes to life. Didn't quite know where that was going. I had to read the rest of it before. She comes to life. Yes, she comes to life. Stingray asking, what is Hempel? Hempel is a Danish company. Is it a retail? Somebody, Gordon will know. A very large marine paint company, right. There's a marine paint company. And Kim Anderson must know them because the former befuddled, beleaguered world sailing president, Kim Anderson, I hope that got a few shots out of people. He is still suing or going through the extra legal processes with I won't bore you with the stuff. I've got all sorts of paperwork people are sending me. He is still going after the various people in world sailing who took those ethics decisions and seem to be quite well justified. The guy's a crouton. I'm sorry. He is a Kim Anderson. If you're watching, I hope you are your Omega crouton. Not only beleaguered and befuddled, but croutonic beyond belief. But it's a large Danish marine paint company, and thank goodness Mr. Anderson got them to sponsor. And they've continued sponsoring various things. There's a lot of hearts, and And laughing mouths there. Thank you. How many laser champion sailors have gone on to amazing big boat careers? Well, a lot, Gordon, I think. I think a lot. And America's Cup careers and so on. Krasimir says, they make black goo that sticks to boats. Okay, I don't see anything there about Jody's pack. Oh, Jody also did a voiceover. I didn't run it, Jody, and I'm hoping that you're going to get re-involved or more involved with Sail GP, because he was asked apparently by Russell, Jody, who's a Fosie, he's on here up early in the morning as usual down in Sydney, and he did some voiceover of Sail GP, in Toronto, one of the previous events, and brought it to life. I mean, if any of you needs a voiceover guy or a play-by-play guy or even a color commentator, he's probably funny as hell as a color commentator, get Jody Shields. A lot of kids sailing in Thailand out of Jamshin. Where's Jamshin? See, now Mark Husted, who lives in Sweden, he's an Aussie who lives in Sweden, is married to a Thai lady, and he will know. Is it Jean? How do you pronounce that, Mark? Did I come close? Pedro Foiling Sailor saying, I think Brett Beyer, an Australian, is the Singapore coach, a humble human. Ralph Roberts again watching. Bummer if you were an athlete number 778 for that China team. China goes, Krasimir saying China goes with 777, Bulgaria with 43. Yeah. Juan Carlos Aguayo. Hello, Juan Carlos. Quality, not quantity. Yeah, that's what Gordon is saying to Krasimir. Exactly. Too bad more countries are not sending hundreds of champion athletes. I think that's yeah. You know who is saying, this is an interesting, Julia will like this. Julia, if you're watching, or Andy Rose, these other Stanfordites, you know who is sending 50 athletes? Stanford University, which, along with my alma mater, the University of Michigan, and one or two others, they have a competition here in the U.S. among the colleges, and which colleges win the largest, the greatest number of national championships in the various sports, from not only football and basketball and hockey, but baseball and softball and yada yada, wrestling and so. And Stanford, despite being one of the most elite academic schools in the world, not just here in the States, also has a lot of elite athletes, and they send a lot of Olympic athletes. And by the way, you may remember a year ago, Stanford University, college sailing is a big deal here in the U.S. You may recall that Stanford, in a moment of crouton, I mean, I don't know what possessed these people, that they've got billions of dollars in endowment. What possessed them to cut all these minor sports, including sailing? And then there was such an uproar among the alumni and among student athletes and so on. They've reinstated them, including sailing, as a varsity sport. But Stanford University and my alma mater, University of Michigan, and a few others are among the top sports schools. And the University of Michigan is no slouch when it comes to academics, but it doesn't compare probably to Stanford, except in certain fields, and particularly in graduate schools. But what's to say? Lots of other great universities in the world. Yeah, Stingray saying China's sending twice as many female athletes, indeed. Wow, a lot of cool comments here. Emma Wilson, our RSX women packing quite entertaining. Yeah, James Dickens. James, are you in Canada as well? Where in Canada are you, James Dickens? Is it Dickens? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to strum through these. Julia Vatican, you can say that what you want tonight, no one there to wave the finger. Camera 2, Julia. Oh, we miss Julia. She's getting an earlier start to TikTokish. Earlier start to her weekend. All nice about Amazon delivery, but the added packaging. Oh, that's what Jody Sheila. And garbage contribution to dump is unacceptable and disgusting. Marcus Vine, I won't order online to avoid all that garbage. Well, you can repurpose all it. You can recycle it. That's what we do. And actually, I tell you what, Marcos, it's also, Amazon is much more eco-friendly than they were a year ago with all that. The delivery system now is using all recyclable stuff. Not that I'm here to defend Amazon or Amazon Prime. Do you know that something like 60, what is it, Julia, or somebody will know? David James will probably know, 60 or 70% of Americans now pay that annual Amazon Prime fee to get next day delivery. So, I mean, it's some huge number. Talk about a club, a big club. Yeah, Amazon has a recycling program as well. No, it's seriously big improvement from when they were first doing Amazon Fresh. I tried it 3 years ago, whenever they first started, and the stuff came in a big, kind of not styrofoam containers, but in some kind of like an esky, as you Aussies and Kiwis would call it, soft-sided esky with ice things in the middle, and it was a mess. Now they've got it down. I think they're picking and delivery services much quicker. Okay, I'm not going to go through all. Look at all. James Bland, Finn USA is finally joining after 3 weeks of competition. Great person to lead our sport. Ed Worley is saying, I think he's talking about KR. Thanks. John Perkins. Hello, John. Guterres. Yes. Where's he from? Does somebody know where he's from? And Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling, say, yeah, Channel 7 is free to air. Color 7, as it used to be called. Alan Long, NBC, not broadcasting sailing, spelled with a C. Ireland might have live sailing since they have I played that video, David James, a couple of weeks ago. From that it was 2012, and there was you all will remember this. If you haven't seen it, go onto YouTube and Google it, because this guy who said he's the Irish he's got an Irish accent, and he thinks the start of the race is the finish. It's hilarious. I'm sure most of you have seen it. It's worth watching once a year just for good fun. Who are the greatest sailing Olympians? Hamish Ross said. Well, you'd have to agree certainly that the late great Dane and the current great Brit. I don't know who else. Paul Elvstrom, and then Ben Ainsley, and there are others who are multi-medalists over many years. But those two for sure. David James is saying Elvstrom, yeah. Coots won one medal in 84 in the Finn class. Anybody who's won a medal in the Finn class is a great sailor in my book. What would you expect me to say? Ainsley, certainly Ainsley, as Gordon Smith is saying. Schumann, Hamish Ross is right. I think Jochen Schumann from Germany, who went on to win the cup with Alinghi, and was their physical training director as well as in the back end of the boat, and he won 2 or 3 medals. Jochen Schumann from Germany. Hello, Rob Clay. Gordon Smith, I'm sad because Tom doesn't like my video. The air has been taken out of my balloon. I do like your. It's just I've already played so much stuff. Go Leonard and Ibu. Denise Peterson is saying. Rob Fry that picture of where was that? Of Leo. I'm going to back up to that. Yeah, there it is. That picture of Leo and Ibu was in New Zealand a month ago. Rob Fry is saying. Did you take that? You sail testing. Did you take that picture, Rob? Who took that picture? Travis Meyer, Rhoda McDonald. Denise Peterson saying lockdowns don't work. Well, I tell you, everything's different, and I wouldn't try to tell a country how to do it, except I know that the more local you get to dealing with just about any issue, I think, okay, now small countries are a little different. Denmark is a small country with 4, 5, 6 million people. And, it's smaller than the size of LA in terms of population. But here, when Washington tries to run things, or in Europe, having lived in Europe for 18 years, all those years, and when Brussels tried to run things, you were screwed with a capital F. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Sorry. Torben Grail and Robert Scheidt. I think Matthias Collins is right. Here, Jochen Schumann, Herr Schumann, Elvstrom, Grail, and Scheidt. Absolutely. Europe will restart after summer is over, Mark Husted is saying. Hey, Tom, the medal racing you're trying to rebroadcast is currently scheduled for 14:30 local, not noon. Thank you, Ben Remacher. All they do is they say 12 noon is the start of Olympic sailing, and if it's scheduled for 14:30, but Ben, is there other racing scheduled that same day? I think there is, besides medal racing. So maybe there's going to be coverage of other racing prior to 14:30. But that day, the sailing was indicated for 12 noon. So maybe the medal racing is not till 14:30. So it might be 2.5 hours later from that chart that I gave you all a minute ago, a few minutes ago. Elstrom should be the best dinghy, keelboat, and mully hull as well. Yeah, he almost medaled in the tornado, remember? Elstrom with his daughter, Tina, in 1984. They finished fourth, I think, from memory. Andrew Russock, hello, Andrew. First Olympic official in hospital in Tokyo with COVID. Yeah, I saw that. There's something like 30 people who have come down with COVID since they've been, whether they're members of teams or whatever. That's not Japanese locals, folks. That's not Japanese folks. That's people who've come in and have been tested positive. Now, one of the things that I heard from Luca or Emmett, maybe both of them, is that one of the problems has been that if you're on a plane inbound and they get there and they test you immediately, and it's a saliva test. Apparently it's the LAMP or PCR test. It's the good test, but it's the saliva test, not the up the nose test. But if anyone on your plane tests positive, then everybody gets not only tested, but they get quarantined. Ted Ryman, that 100-kilometer height, they're back in space now. Thanks, Ed Worley. I guess you're talking about my shirt. Maybe you're talking about somebody else's. Jody, are you referring to the recent Bang the Quarters commentary about AC-35 Bermuda? Yes, loved it. I've been trying to get Jody to produce some stuff for us. You know, we don't pay very well. Just ask Julia. But he is very clever and very good. And if he would just stick his camera up, we've had him on the show. Maybe we got to get him back on the show again. That's what we got to do. Love Rain Spooner. Get their Christmas collector shirt from time to time. Last year, the shirt came with a matching mask. You could order Elstrom, Scheidt, and Schumann, then Coots. Then why would you put Coots in that list? He only had one medal. There are other people with multiple medals. I mean, look at the kids in the 470 from Australia. Kids. I mean, you've got to put Ainsley up there. Okay, my Sail GP highlights package, Tom. What other package would you think? Come on, it's a family show. Yeah, well, that's what I assumed you meant, Jody. I wasn't quite sure. Okay, my gosh, we're going on and on. He could squeeze it in somehow. Jody Shields, oh, that's right, Sail GP Marine. I will play Jody's Sail GP stuff on Tuesday, or at least one of them. He's done a couple, when we celebrate Sail GP Plymouth racing that's going on this weekend. Connors, but Dennis didn't have a gold medal, did he? Was he a silver medalist or bronze medalist in the Tempest class in 76 in Montreal when the sailing was in Kingston? Mark Husted, Jomtien, did I pronounce that right? Jomtian is 2 hours east of Bangkok, past Pattaya. Go Stanford. Is your kid going to Stanford this year, Denise Peterson? Jeffrey? Do we have breaking news here? Now, yeah, James Bland, the Stanford minor sports have all been reinstated. That did happen a few weeks ago. Okay, Jody's giving you the Mark Husted. How close are Bangkok and Phuket? Okay, guys, you're getting silly. I leave for a couple of weeks and the OK Dinghy mugs disappear along with Tom's filter, Julia's. Well, Julia just has the day off. She took an early start to her weekend. And if you're really that upset, I'll go get over there on Julia's table. I'll get that white mug, which has coffee in it. I've prepared one for Julia in case she was able to make it. Pindar. Okay. Okay, enough of these comments. There's so many great comments. Any others? 4 medals for whom? Smile program. Yacht, 3 gold, 1 silver. Yeah, I umpired 4 medals for Schumann. Yeah, I umpired at least one of his soling medals. Rob Fry, promising young photographer Adam Mustel. Oh, I know Adam, or I know of him. Tom, as Julia's not there, you could play what I sent you on how Italian women celebrate when they win. I didn't think that was so bad. Peter Stevenson. Peter sent this video of after the soccer game the other day. Let's see if I have it. I don't remember where it was, Peter, where you sent it to me. But it was, after the Italians won last Sunday in the football game, the soccer, beating the not the Brits, the English. There was, wild celebrations across Italy, as one would expect. And there were some women that were, baring their breasts. And in cars going up and down streets. You know, we see that all the time here in San Francisco. We see naked people walking on the streets in San Francisco and doing worse than that. Now Julie would shake her finger. Yeah, that's a finger shake. Coots has 5 ACs. Yeah, he has 1 Olympic medal, Stingrays. Talking about Coots. He was the gold medalist 84 in the Finn class in LA. Hi, Tom, in the previous days. Yes, other racing starts at noon. Thanks, Ben Remach. I really appreciate this, Ben. Then medal races at 14:30. However, since you're starting on the second last day, there's no other racing. Everyone else. Okay, so Ben's helping us here. We'll have to adjust that time to 14:30 Tokyo time, which is going to be 2.5 hours later for us. So it'll be 10:30 here in San Francisco. We'll fix that. Sailor's Lager, DC bronze. Yeah, thanks, Bill Wingrove. Dennis had a bronze medal in Kingston, which was the Montreal Games 76. In the, remember what class, Bill Wingrove? You'll know. One of my favorite classes of all time. It's just it required 2 huge guys to sail it. 2 huge people, but guys. Tempest, yeah, there it is. Gordon Smith's guy, friends at Carsington in the UK, sailing Tempest. Penny Wilson, 2 medals, windsurfer, now daughter giving a go. Great family story. Yes, James Dickens, thank you. I know Penny Wilson. That name of that family. Jody Shields. I'm not going to read that comment, although it's gotten a lot. You go look back and look at Jody. The women are keeping abreast of the celebration. Yeah, Valentine Mencken. Well done, Peter Salwin. Mencken also got 4 medals, 3 gold, 1 silver in the Finn, Tempest, and Star. That guy was a hell of a sailor. Nice guy, great coach, the medal maker, right? I don't mind Italian breast. Just wish they'd shave their armpits once in a while. Julia, where are you to shake a finger at Stingray? I can hear it upstairs. Magnus Wheatley. Hello, Magnus. How's the Pope doing today? Do you mean Paul Henderson? I'm not sure you mean. Buddy Malgus has 2 medals. Finn. Well, he was arguably one of the most highly celebrated in this country. Malgus and Bill Benson and so on, when they won gold. No, it wasn't the Finn and Soling. It was the FD, Matthias Collins. Malgus had a gold in the FD. Was it gold? I'm pretty sure it was, with Bill Benson on the wire. And then Buddy, Bill, and our friend up in, whose name I'll think of, up in Minnesota, Bill, I think it was a hockey player. Good guy. He's often on here. I'm sorry, I can't remember. Not coming up with a name at the tip of my tongue. Yeah, it was Malgus gold medals in the FD and the Soling class. Okay, I think I've gotten to the end of the comments. Let's move ahead with this beautiful photo. It was a titillating final match. Yeah, Soling. 72 Buddy won. Yeah, thanks, Matthias Collins. 49er Fosie, Leo, Takahashi, Leonard Takahashi, and Ibu. What's Ibu's last name? Rob Fry, you're on here. Remind us what his name is. I'm sorry I didn't get that. The America's Cup, I'm going to use an audio for this one. Crickets. I haven't heard anything at all from the America's Cup world except rumors. So we're not even going to deal with it. We're going to deal with the Olympics. That's your AC-37 Cup date. I bet the English fans felt a little right. Oh, you guys, you're getting silly. Koizumi, thank you, Rob Fry. Ibu Koizumi. James Dickens is watching. Okay, now the Gov Cup. Let's the road to the 54th Governor's Cup, episode 6. This kid is funny. He's bright. He's a hell of a good sailor. It was a fun interview that Andy and I had with Marius Vesterland a couple nights ago, and I think you'll really enjoy this. I think all these kids coming to this year's Governor's Cup, including Denise Peterson's son Jeffrey, are going to be a real hoot. Have a look. Well, welcome to the 6th episode of the Road to the 54th Governor's Cup, the prestigious International Youth Match Racing Championship that will be hosted next week by Balboa Yacht Club. Looking forward to being down there with, among others, our guru, Gov Cup guru, Andy Rose, and also today's guest, skipper. He will be joining us from Sweden, Marius Vesterland. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you. Great to be here.
Andrew, take it away.
Well, Marius, let's see. Let me start with, first of all, where are you right now? So right now I'm in Riva del Garda. So in Italy at Garda. I'm here right now with family, but I also do a lot of sailing here, and I really enjoy the conditions here where we have nice warm weather compared to Sweden most of the time. And I just really enjoy this environment. So
I can imagine, and you've now made virtually all of Tom's listeners here incredibly jealous, me being one of them. Well, that's great. I want to warn you before we start asking you questions that you have a hard act to follow, because I think we've had Johanna Bergqvist and Isabel here for some years at the Governor's Cup, and I think it's fair to say they were by far the most popular Governor's Cup sailors in history. So you have a hard act to follow here.
Yeah, that would probably be the biggest challenge of the week then.
I think it will. I think it will. Well, tell us a little about yourself. I know you're the Swedish youth match racing champion, but let's start with your dinghy sailing, because your record in the 29er. First of all, tell the audience what a 29er is basically, and then tell us about your great record on those boats.
Yeah, so the 29er is a two-person boat where I was helming, and then you also have a crew hanging from the trapeze. The boat is called a skiff, like the type of boat, and it's known for being very agile and quite quick. So it's a boat that, it's attracted to a lot of people coming out of Optimist, since it's like a brand new thing where you get a bit more speed than the Opti, so to say. It's not, you don't go around in 2 knots anymore. You'd go around more closer to 20. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're very similar to Optis. When you say skiff, you're right. The original skiffs are probably the most famous skiffs are the Aussie 18s. And I always describe them just like the 29er and the 49er as very little boat, a whole bunch of sail. And that's, that's cool. Well, tell us about some of you've done very well in some of the European 29er events.
Yeah, so I started sailing the 29er in 2017 after my last year in Optis. And I immediately started a sailing high school in Sweden where I got like matchmate with the crew, basically going to the same school. And we immediately started training a lot in the boat. So the year after, we did our first appearance at a European Championship in Helsinki, Finland, which would be 2018. We ended up sailing really well and sailing home a 4th place. So, which we were really pleased about, coming in with a top 10 finish as a goal. And then we kept on training, and the year after we tried to go for revenge and try to get a medal at the European. But unfortunately, we had some havoc during the last day with our mast. So instead, we came away with a 5th place, which was quite bittersweet, to be honest. But yeah,
well, that's still a pretty good record. Let me go back to something you said, just so I understand it. You said you went to a sailing high school?
Yeah.
So now we've made every young viewer in America jealous, in addition to where you are right now. But the concept of a sailing high school, wow, I would have loved to have gone to that.
It's a really good opportunity for us Swedes, where we're 20 people in total, spread out through 4 years. And we have 2 full-time trainers, basically, where that help us with everything from sailing to physical training and they also help us with school so that we could get away from school to go to competitions. And we have organized training with these coaches 4 times a week during a season. So, yeah,
Tom,
it's a really good opportunity.
Tom, I think we better tape that part of this conversation and send it to Paul Kayard, who is our new director of Olympic sailing in the United States. I think he would love to hear something like that.
Yeah, anyway, I think he would. But the other thing that the sailing high school is doing is getting them into boats, other kinds of boats. How about, Marius, how about the Wasp? You've been sailing that. This is a beautiful shot, from Lake Garda, last summer?
2018 or 2019. So that was, now in Sweden, we're starting to move more progressively towards foiling boats as that seems to be more of the future. But that specific shot right now, that shot, I think that was just a friend from the 29ers who had a wasp that I was lucky enough to be able to try out, which was really, really fun. It's a completely different feeling to every other kind of boat I've sailed. It's not really like the keel boats that I've been sailing this year with match racing, so to say.
You know, when we say last summer, we obviously all mean 2019 because 2020 didn't happen for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, especially in the U.S., but Sweden, they were quite lax on their restrictions, so we almost lived a normal life actually. So yeah, we didn't get hit too hard like socially, but yeah, the country got hit harder, I guess, as well. So
yeah. Well, there's no right answer for that. But anyway, hopefully we're on the downside of that epidemic. We canceled the Governor's Cup last year for the first time in 54 years. So let's talk about the Governor's Cup. So now you've gone from opties to 29ers to foilers, and now back to a 3 or 4 person keelboat. First, how many are you? You have 2 crew or 3 crew?
So for Governor's Cup, I have 2 crew, and then I'm staying for the Youth World Match Racing Championship, and there I'll have 3 crew. So, yeah.
Now, the weight limits are slightly different. Is the reason for that in the Governor's Cup? So, well, that's great. So, how long have you actually been match racing?
So, actually, my first time ever match racing was the Youth Swedish Championships in 2018. I believe, in 2018. And in Sweden, you just apply like interest to go to the event. And I wasn't one of the people selected to go at first, but like 2 days prior to the regatta, somebody canceled, like they couldn't come to the regatta. And then we got the opportunity to actually sail. So the days before, I was just watching YouTube and like reading guides and just trying to read up on everything I could. And it seemed that a lot was quite similar from team racing and the Optimist. So we got there and learned a lot through every race. And eventually we managed to reach the finals against Johanna Bergqvist, actually, and somehow managed to pull off a win. So we started off really strong, and then that's what got me into match racing. So that's pretty amazing. I hope you didn't. Your life hasn't peaked at 18, but yeah.
At any rate, well, that's great. And how about your crew? Have they sailed with you now enough do you have a pretty cohesive crew, or what's with that?
So in Sweden now we have a subscription thing kind of to GKSS where we're sailing the Far East 28. I think that's what they're called.
Yep.
And there we have quite a cohesive crew. But for this regatta, not all of them in my original crew is used. So I brought in my now 49er crew to come to the US, and so all of us have basically sailed together before, but not necessarily together at the same time. So, yeah.
Well, you'll have a good one practice day, but you'll figure it out. I think you'll find the boats kind of neat. They were designed to perform in the sometimes very light air that we get here in Newport Beach, but hopefully we'll have a normal condition somewhere between 8 and 14 knots of breeze. But you can have a very fair race in the boats in 5 knots of breeze because they've got a lot of sail area and are quite light. And in a real breeze, they plane and surf and all those fun things. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Have you sailed against? For the first time ever, we have a team from Metropolitan France, Timothée Paulet, and then Emil Kjær from Denmark. Have you sailed against either of them?
Yeah, actually, I was sailing the Youth European Championship in Lago di Ledro, Italy, like 3 weeks ago, maybe. And there we faced off against Timothée Paulet, and they managed to sneak off a win. So we're a bit ready to take revenge on them. And Emil, we've sailed against him on two separate competitions, which was Youth Worlds in New Zealand in 2020 and Youth Europeans in 2019 as well. So yeah, but at that point we weren't as serious with the match racing, or weren't as good. So we hope to give him a better match this time around.
All right. Well, given your record, this will be your first Governor's Cup, so we expect you to win, right?
yeah. I haven't lost any time when I've never lost a Governor's Cup, so
that's right.
let's keep that going.
Very good. Yeah, well, that's good. Well, it should be an interesting competition because we lost normally, as you know, in the World Match Racing rankings, the Open rankings. Australians and New Zealanders make appearances in the top 10 all the time. One could actually say they dominate the top 10. And unfortunately, because of the COVID restrictions, they can get here, but they can't go home. So we're not going to have any of them. But I think we probably have the strongest European contingent probably we've ever had with you three. And so we're really looking forward to that. We're thinking of putting up an informal trophy with the three Europeans do scoring as if it was a team against the top three Americans. We'll cheat there. And, only the top three Americans would qualify and see who wins. So we're thinking about doing that.
That's a good idea, Andy.
But obviously it's it's an individual competition. And I'm sure if it got to the finals, you wouldn't be trying to beat an American in the finals because he's an American. You'd just be trying to beat him, period. Yeah. So.
But one last thing, Marius, is that not only do we stream the press conferences and then the live racing on Friday and Saturday, but about Monday night. Have you heard about Monday night and what Andy does in introducing the teams in front of 300-plus Yacht Club members? We also live stream to the world the Rose Roast. We call Andy Rose, we call him Rosé for historical reasons, having, of course, nothing to do with wine. Rosé Roast. Do you know what that's all about, Marius? Have you heard about it?
No, I haven't heard about it, but it sounds quite intense, actually.
Well, maybe Andy give you the thumbnail description because you need to be prepared.
Well, first of all, my name is not involved with the wine. My nickname is Rosé, which the Australians named me when I sailed with them in the America's Cup, because on an Australian team, you have to have a nickname, period. And so that was my nickname. But Monday night we have an opening dinner, and we ask you all to come up. Usually we ask two teams at once to come up on the podium with me, and I ask you questions which are intended to be embarrassing and make you and the audience laugh. So some of the veterans in the Governor's Cup try to prepare to get me, but so far I'm pretty much undefeated. American David Wood thinks he has beaten me before, or at least it was a tie. Well, that of course is not true, but I'm really going after him this year. So beware and prepare.
Yeah, I'll get my napkins ready, so I'm ready to cry on stage.
Don't worry, and Marius, I'll give you some hints. I'll give you some jokes that work and don't work from past experience. Hey guys, thank you very much indeed.
Tom, 1 second. There's
Please.
An important fact here about Monday night. Your countryman Felix Jakobsen actually sang on stage.
Hey, that's right.
In one of his performances. So and he wasn't bad, Tom.
That's right.
He wasn't bad.
Marius,
So anyway,
that will be a tough act to follow because people will remember that. Maybe you can.
Yeah, I need to be as nice as the Bergquist and as good at singing as the other guy. It'll be a tough challenge.
You got your work cut out for you, but we certainly hope you don't decide not to come. So seriously, we will see you in 10 days and are really looking forward to it, Marius. Have a good trip.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Marius.
Coming up.
Sorry. Marius, thank you very much. He's in Riva del Garda at Lago di Garda in Italia, in Italy, and Andrew Rose, Andy down, of course, in Newport Beach. We'll see you all in a week's time. Ciao. Bye. Okay. These kids are just marvelous. It as Andy and I and Julia, we said after recording these guys, and we've got one more we'll air on Tuesday's show, they give you renewed faith, or even more faith in the future of our sport, indeed, in the future of our world, because they are bright, attractive people. And these Scandinavians, Gordon Smith, just looking here, he's saying, I'm impressed with so many young people from this corner, meaning Scandinavia. Yeah, and fabulous interview, very mature with a good sense. The kid has a great, I warned Andy after I talked to him back and forth in getting prepared for that interview. I said, Andy, this kid is really quick on the uptake. and very, very bright. And I want to go back to this comment. There's Gordon Smith's comment. He's saying can I get rid of that? There we go. That's better. Road to the Gov Cup. He's saying that this is Gordon Smith, who lives in Denmark, Brit living in Denmark. In many countries in Northern Europe, kids at 16 can take an extra year and attend specialist schools, music, sailing, athletics, etc., before they graduate to high school. At high school, they also get extra time to complete if they are at a national squad level. This exemption continues through university for those participating in their interest. And I think that's probably true here too in uni and informally in high schools here in the U.S., but I'm not sure. What impresses me, and I've said this to several of you, having lived particularly in Northern Europe, in Germany for all those years, and then dealing and spending a lot of time in Denmark and Norway and Sweden and so on. And Germany made a mistake, I think. Germany takes their English movies and television shows, American, English, whatever, British, whatever, and they revoice them. So you're hearing it in German. It'll be an American TV show or a British TV show or movie. You're hearing it in German, which is how I learned my terrible German, watching stuff like that. Whereas the Scandinavians, the Low Countries and the Scandinavians, take those same movies, run them in English, television shows, run them in English, and then put local language subtitles below. So you can hear it in English and see what they're saying in the subs. And that's why these kids like Marius and these other kids in Northern Europe, and particularly in Scandinavia and in the Low Countries, speak English so beautifully, better than I. But the kid is bright. You know, he's not having to worry about. Okay, enough said. Thank you, Andrew Pindar, for trying to get these sophomore croutons under control. There's no Julia. Yeah, impressive English for a young man is Gordon Smith. And you said it. Andrew Pindar, educated, bright, and articulate. Yeah, and he's got the best hair of anybody. He's going to win the best hair award, I'm sure. And that team they were referring to, not only the kid that sang a song on that Monday, I would tell you that blew us all away, but there was an all-female Swedish team there a few years ago that you heard them referred to, whom Andy referred. Gordon Smith or Mark Husted, who's also in Sweden. Gordon Smith, as you know, most of the youth here can speak 3 languages fluently. Indeed. Okay, that's the road to the 54th Gov Cup. We'll have one more episode on Tuesday's show, and then I'll be down there a week from tomorrow or Sunday. I'm not sure when I'll fly down, but that's about it. We've got a little more to go here because we want to feature just a couple of comments about Transpac 2021, which started earlier this week for the slower boats, and another start today, and then the big boats start tomorrow. Divisions 1, 2, 3, and 4. Warning signal tomorrow at 12:55 p.m. on the 17th. While some other boats got underway today off LA Yacht Club in Los Angeles. This what is it? The 54th edition? What edition of the Transpac? It's been going on for 100 years. Let me back that up. Can't remember which one this is. Somebody on here will know, but it's been going on for a long time. It's the classic West Coast yacht race. Everybody wants to do this once in their life, if not more. Some people have done it heaps and heaps and heaps. Speaking of which, there is the largest in middle of the country freshwater offshore race going on. Whoops, there's Julia's picture. Her camera 3. You recognize that city, I'm sure. Most of you will, a lot of you will. That is Chicago, having its own problems, but not in the sailing world. They're back in action. Today starts the first of the slower boats, the cruising class, in the 112th edition of the Chicago Mackinac, sponsored by Wintrust. It is underway just an hour or so ago for the cruising class with 240 entrants. Chicago Yacht Club's Race to Mac, presented by Wintrust, promises once again to be a spectacle worth taking in as it returns to Lake Michigan and Lake Huron this week. Cruising and performance racing divisions start the race at Chicago's Navy Pier today and tomorrow, respectively, with organizers suggesting the window of 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday is the best public viewing opportunity. In 10-minute intervals, starting yada, 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 yada. They even allowing multi-hulls and double-handed 289 nautical mile journey to Mackinac Island, which is, of course, Michigan, an annual trek that over more than 11 decades has become the stuff of legend in sailboat racing. Friday starts for 3 sections of cruising boats will run from 3 to 3:30. So that they're a couple hours ahead of us in the central time zone. So they're well and truly on the way. Now, of course, this race is also can be really rough as they get they get a storm coming across Lake Michigan from the northwest. The breeze will blow out of the south, and then the frontal passage, and then the breeze comes around to the northwest and the north, and it can be rough as hell. And 2 years ago, this race, that a lot of the boats had to withdraw, including some big boats. The Amoy boat, the big DeVos boat, WindQuest had to withdraw, I think, into Ludington, Michigan, and a few other ports in that neck of the woods. So that is the 112th Wind Trust Chicago Mac is underway. That's where they finish, up at Mackinac Island, technically in Lake Huron, but it's up Lake Michigan and around the corner. Most of you will know that course. And we always say about how nice it is to race on islands or around islands or have yacht races that finish at islands. That's the cute Mackinac Island. It looks like Mackinac, but the Indians pronounce it, the Native Americans, Mackinac. And that beautiful town, touristy town, no cars permitted, horse-drawn carriages, bicycles, and there is no better place to yacht race and to party after a yacht race than Mackinac Island at the end of the Chicago Mac. And then, of course, there's another race from Detroit, from the Detroit side, up Lake Huron and around, and that is the Port Huron, because that's the little town up north, or the Bayview Yacht Club hosts it from Bayview Yacht Club up. We covered that extensively last year, the Bayview Mac, because that one ran. Chicago Mac did not run last year because of the COVID. It's unfortunate that the Canadians boats, it's really tough for Canada going up Lake Huron. In fact, they normally go up and race around an island that's on the Canadian shore in Lake Huron, Cove Island, and then turn that, the big boats, faster boats anyway, and then take that to port and go across to Mackinac. But they can't go into Canada because of the COVID restrictions this year, so that's off. Okay, our second and final segment, whiskey. You know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to play this video with any help. Talk about sophomoric, but I like this video. This was sent by Pindar, who's trying to keep everybody under control today in Julia's absence. But have a look at this video from last Sunday. So I think it was from last Sunday. And see what you think.
Ahead of Sunday's final between Italy and England, the Italian and British-Italian community would like to make a traditional backhand offer to the small minority of England fans who, regardless of whether England win or lose, may feel the need to vandalize Italian businesses. Please do not damage Italian independent businesses, and in exchange, we will allow you to destroy the following restaurants: Bella Italia, Ask Italian, Spaghetti House, Carluccio's, Preso, Zizi, Vapiano, Domino's. Sorry, even just the word, it makes me, come si dice, indigestione. Papa John's, Pizza Hut, and any pizzeria that has even a trace of pineapple in the kitchen.
Oh, the Hawaiians.
Grazie a tutti e forza azzurri.
And just when you think it can't get any more funny. I thought it was funny. Maybe you all didn't think it was so funny, but thank you, Andrew Pindar, for sending that. And now we'll proceed to Whiskey Tango Foxtrot and some of your other submissions. I had to pull that one off, but this came in from Peter Stevenson earlier today. It's coming home, shouts the excited Victorians. He said, this is how we deal with COVID. It's just like a sporting event. A record, so as Melbourne records 7 new community cases. Tom, this is Peter, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor. Tom, you've got to laugh. It's how we handle adversity down under. Above Victorian State Premier as he goes into this third, or is it the 4th lockdown? I've lost count. There's been mention that this new Delta strain could be 1,000 times more infection. I don't know if it's 1,000 times. I have to ask McIrvin about that. 1,000 times more infectious than the original COVID. It's a bit of a worry. Yeah, as we said at the top of the show, for all of you who are facing this again, we're double vaxxed and we seem to be okay. For the most part here in the States, pretty well opened up, but who knows how this is going to go going forward. But so I think it is still wise, better part of valor to take some precautions. And maybe that means maybe Julia needs to improve the quality of her from Cuervo, she needs to go to that, what is it, Dos Amigos, whatever that fancy tequila brand. The lottery gives you a 1 in 200 million chance you won't go to work tomorrow. Alcohol gives you 1 in 5. And finally, I like Vietnamese food. I like po, and I'm sure all of you do. It's because it's poking. Good. One of you sent this, asked me not to ID you, so I won't. I don't know. You got it. 6 times more infectious, Paul Homchick is saying. Yeah, I don't know. Even if it's twice as infectious, it's still crotonic. That is the delta. Okay, the finish line. I just, apropos the Chicago Mac, and no, Chicago Mac shouldn't be sponsored by Kraft Mac and Cheese. This guy, whom I've known since forever, he was a major volunteer contributor to U.S. Sailing when I was involved as the executive director and before even. And his name is Gene McCarthy. He's from Chicago Yacht Club. He's a long-time, he still races his starboat with his son, and his son's almost my age. He is doing, tomorrow he'll start in his 66th, I don't think he's in the cruising division today. I think he's actually starting the racing division tomorrow. His 66th Chicago Mac. Now you ask, how old can the guy be if he's racing in his 66th Mac? And it didn't happen last year, for example. And he is a GOAT. That's a club of people who have raced, GOATs, and it's not just greatest of all time. It's people who have raced more than, I think, 50 Macs, whether it's Chicago Mac or Port Huron, the other one up Lake Huron. But bravo Zulu to Gene McCarthy here on the finish line of today's show. By the way, Gene is 91 years old. The boat this year that he's sailing on is a Tartan 10. Now, do you know how long a Tartan 10 is? It's 10 meters long. It's 33 feet long. It's a popular, more or less one design boat in the Great Lakes. I used to sail T10s as well with some friends. Jim Meyer will know who I'm talking about. How many of us would want to do a simple overnight race, let alone a 330-mile, 289 nautical mile race on a T10? Probably you can add stud to goat. Clearly, Gene McCarthy, who also has sailed stars for years, I mean for decades, is ignoring the advice that Star World champ Tom Blackaller, the late great, used to espouse: never sail on a boat shorter than your age. Seems that Rambler 88 wouldn't work either for Gene McCarthy. Maybe Comanche 100 will be available next year. Probably the best way to sum up Gene this year is that the GOAT means gentleman on a Tartan 10. He is one of the greatest Mackinac racers of all time, doing his 66. Bravo Zulu, Gene McCarthy. If you're watching, I hope you have and he sails with his daughter, he sails with his son, who are lifelong sailors as well. And he's been a real spark plug in the sport in the Great Lakes area and beyond. Terrific guy, Gene McCarthy. Julie, if she were here, would say like, follow, and share. Please push those buttons right now. Push them. Don Wilson Convexity did a T10 campaign for years, and I think a Mac. Kevin Brown is saying, hi, Kevin. Gordon Smith, you lovely people. See you all next time. Yeah, Bill Ingram, his daughter races Sunfish, and I've known her for years as well. What is that noise outside, Julia? Julia is upstairs in the Commodore Suite, I think, unless she's out racing around in her Harley or something. But like, follow, and share, and comments, of course, are welcome, even if you're watching a replay, as thousands of you do. We appreciate the support we get via patreon.com/join/sailing illustrated, and all of those folks and websites and outlets that let us have video and audio and images for today's show. Thanks, yeah, Stingray, it's been another hoot. Well, see, you tried really hard. I know, Andrew Pindar, you tried hard to keep these people under control, but they got onto that Hooters thing. Gordon Stanley's in San Diego. Adios, Gordon. Say hi to the gang down there, including my daughter, San Diego Yacht Club. Alan Long, good show. Thanks, Tom. Bye-bye, Julia and the Fosie. Enjoy the weekend. Mary Jude and Philly. Bye to you. And to everyone else, we hope that you have a great weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday. And in the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.